Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Clemens. Today we're going to go over some ways you can practice your bowling at home during this crazy coronavirus crisis. So this is going to help you have a space that's defined just like a bowling lane would be, that you can practice your bowling skills on and make sure you're starting from the same spot, you're taking the same amount of steps, and it would be the same distance as it would be if you were on an actual bowling lane. One of the things we're going to need is something that replicates a bowling shoe. So what I've got here is just one of my regular tennis shoes. This obviously will not slide very well on this floor. What you can do is take one of your standard socks, wrap it over the toe of that bowling shoe, and if you don't care about the sock, go ahead and cut it off so it doesn't bunch up on the bottom. That will add as a nice slide surface, a lot like a shoe you might find at your local bowling center. What I've just done is construct your basic approach that you would have in any bowling center. I've done this with some painter's masking tape and a tape measure.
All right, so setting up our own approach. The first thing we're going to want to do is measure at least a 12-foot distance. So we need 12 to 15 foot. So I've already measured my length, and I'm going to go ahead and lay my lines down back here to set up my first set of dots. This is where the right-hand side of my lane is. So I'm going to mark it. And so then what I want to do is use my tape measure, and I'm going to measure from the outside edge of this. So now I've essentially got that first part of my approach set up. This would be the outside of my lanes, and then this would be where my dots are going to be at. I'm going to set it out to 40, and then every 5 inches I'm going to put a little dot on my tape. And these are what you should be lining up off of every time when you get up there to throw the ball. You should be basing where your feet are at off of where these dots are at, so that you're lining up in the same place every time you get up on the bowling lane. All right, so we've laid out our dots area. We need to lay out our foul line. I know that this gray line is roughly 12 foot from the line we put down on the other end. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run my first piece of tape here. And I also know that the edge of my lane, we've laid out on this gray line on this far side. And again, this just helps you know where the edge of the lane would be at in correspondence to where you're standing at any given point, which is why we want to run these sidelines. So again, we're going to measure our 40 inches from that sideline and put our tape, the outside edge. Now, I'm going to go ahead and lay the second piece of tape just before my foul line. And on this one, this is what I'm going to put the dots on. I don't want it on the foul line because when I'm actually bowling, I want to stop before that foul line. So I want my dots representation to be before it so that if I'm sliding up to those dots, that's a good stopping point for me. Get my 40-inch measurement here, and then every 5 inches again. And now these 5-inch measurements are going to measure up with the same 5-inch measurements that I had on the other side. And those dots should roughly correspond going from one end of my kitchen to the other end of my kitchen. What I'd like to show you all now is the one-step drill. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with our feet reverse staggered. So my non-ball side foot is going to be partially behind my ball side foot, like I'm in a partial step, like I'm halfway through a step. I'm going to take my arm, I'm going to bring it all the way back to the back of my backswing. And now all I'm going to practice is sliding my foot forward, my non-ball side foot forward, and getting my ball side foot to the opposite side. Something like this. Visualization. And this really is whether you're at your local bowling center or you're practicing at home. So if what you want to do is throw a strike in your mind's eye as you're doing these things, you should be visualizing yourself throwing a strike. In between taking shots, here at home, in between my practice shots, I can sit down and I can see myself in my mind's eye running through those steps. So I can see my first step and crossing over. I can see my hand being out in front of me. I can see it falling beside me. I can see it coming up to the pinnacle. And I can see myself sliding forward and releasing. If you can see them in your mind, they say that you can actually cut the amount of repetitions that you need to do to build that into your muscle memory in half by just visualization. From all of us here at IMU Bowling and Billiards, stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, and keep on bowling.